Okay, so here we're factoring three terms, but this one's gonna, we've done this before, but this is more difficult. When you factor three terms with a number in the front, that's what it says. See this 3 in the front? That makes it much more challenging. So what do? Step number 1. Check if all three terms have a number or letter in common. Like, is there a number? Like, is there a number like what if I had like a 6 here and this was a 12? Then I'd go, oh, 3 goes into all of them, right? 3 goes into 3 itself, 6 and 12. And then I would factor out 3. But that's not the case. Or if they all had an X, like he had an X, and I say, oh, they all have an X, factor out an X. Anyway, that's not the case. Don't need to worry about that. On we go. So it's just good to check. It's not here. Step number 2. Now we're going to put, basically, let me just say you're going to put the 2 parentheses. There's going to be X's here, but let me just do it right over here. But we need numbers in front. Now remember, let me write multiply, add, multiply. Best if I just wrote it over here, I think. Multiply, add, multiply, meaning the front 2 terms come from multiplying. So it's going to be 3x times x. So that's what's different now. We're not just going to put an x in the front. Because why? Because this is not just x squared, it's 3x squared. So we need 3x times x to make 3x squared. Okay. Now, what's going to go in the back here? Well, we need 2 numbers that also multiply to be that -4. So what numbers is that? Well, there's a couple of options, isn't there? There's 2 times 2. And then I'll say, or, let me go over here. Couldn't it be 3xx? And couldn't it be like 1 times 4? Right? In fact, you know what? We have 3 options. See, this is where it gets tough. So, oops, come on, a little better. 3x and x, right? With I don't know, right? Or, and this was, I said 2 and 2, or let me just go with a different color. Let me write it better. 3x and x, and it could be 1 and 4, right? I'm looking for what multiplies before. I'll do the negative part in a minute. Or, hey, what else is there, Mr. Aaron? That's it. Well, not quite. Or 3x and x, you think 1 and 4. You could put the 4 here and the 1 there. Okay, now hold on. Hold on for a minute. You might feel like, let me separate these for us. Because we're going to need to find out which one of those is right. That's where this gets hard. We have 3 different options, right? Because there's different options for what multiplies to be 4, right? To multiply to equal 4, you can have 2 times 2 is 4, or 1 times 4 is 4, or 4 times 1 is 4. Those are different orders. Now, in the past, you might say, Mr. You always say the order doesn't matter. Well, it does now. Sadly, that's why this is much harder. Why? Because we have a number for one of these guys has got a 3x, and one of these parentheses begins with a 3x, and the other begins with a regular x. So they're different. They're different because we have to have, we got to make 3x squared in the front. So now everything matters. The order matters now. Like over here, see how the 3x and the 1 are in the same parenthesis and the plain x and the 4. Whereas here, the 3x and the 4 are in the same parenthesis and the x and the 1. That's different. That's different. So the order matters because the front, if the front was just a simple x, if the fronts were the same, then the order wouldn't matter. But if the fronts are different, then it's going to matter where you put the 1 and where you put the 4. All right. Well, how do you know which one of these is right? You've got to check them. What do I mean check them? Well, you got to basically do the FOIL. I'm going to come down here. Let me change my color. I'm gonna actually just check. Now, note, you might say, Mr. There's no pluses or minuses, right? Notice I'm gonna do that later. Notice I don't put any pluses or minuses on at first. So these are much harder. Again, what's making this so much harder than the other kind? Number in the front. Number in the front, 3. Instead of just x squared in the front, it's 3x squared, which has made everything way more complex. So we have a 3x and an x, and then the order matters. We do 1, 4, and 4, 1, and 2, 2. All right, now I'm just going to check. What do I mean check? You know how this works. The first one goes to both with no signs. We'll do the signs later. 3x squared, 6x, and then the second one goes to both, right? 2x and 4. All right, now let's do the next one. Same thing here. First to both. 3x squared. Whoop, no sign. I want to do a sign. 12x, and then the second to both. 1x and 4. And then the last one. First to both. 3x squared, 3x, and then boom, boom. 4x and 4. Okay, now you think, well, how do you know which of those is right? Well, remember what they have to do. The main thing they have to do, the main way we're going to be able to tell which one's the right term here, is they've got to add to be the middle number. Now, there's no number in the middle, which means it's a 1, right? They've got to add to be plus 1. The two middle terms, meaning these two in the middle, or these two in the middle, or these two in the middle, have to add to be plus 1. How can they do it? How can a 6 and a 2? They cannot. 6 and 2 cannot add or subtract to equal 1. No way. So that means, let me do this. That option's out. They cannot add to be 1, right? No way. All right. How about the 2 over here? Same thing. 12 and 1 cannot add to equal positive 1. And we're down to one option. 2 strikes. Baseball here. All right, last one. Can these guys? Yeah, they can do it. How? How do they add to be plus 1? Well, remember what we said. Sign in the middle. I should probably write it back up here. So sign in the middle. What do you mean sign in the middle? There's a plus sign here, right? Don't be fooled by that. There's 3 signs really. Every number or letter really has a sign off to the left of it in front of it. If it's not showing its sign, it's an invisible plus sign. So there's really 3 signs here. So the sign in the middle is this one. Sign in the middle goes on the bigger number. So that's going to go on the plus 4, and the 3 will be minus. So the bigger number always takes the sign in the middle. The smaller number could be positive or negative, depends on the problem. So that's right? Minus 3x plus 4x equals plus 1x, which is the number in the middle. Beautiful. They do it. They're right. They're right. They add to be the number in the middle, don't they? They add to be the number in the middle. So that's beautiful. So then, okay, so how do we do this then? How do we put them? So they need to go up here. Well, do you see this has got to be a plus 4x? That's got to be plus 4x, and then the minus 1 goes there to make minus 3x. See how minus 1 times 3x makes minus 3x? And that's our answer. What you might wonder, like, what's our answer? It's easy to get lost in all this. Let me help. Our final answer then is, write it up here, 3x plus 4, x minus 1. Again, either order, you could put the x minus 1 first. Right here, I'll just do it just for fun. You could write the x minus 1 first, and then the 3x plus 4. The order doesn't matter, but you got to keep all the signs on the items correct. See how it's right? So basically what we've done here is we basically checked, didn't we? This is the check, right? The 3x goes boom and boom, 3x squared minus 3x, and the plus 4 goes plus 4x minus a minus 4. And these make plus 1x in the middle, and we got 3x squared in the front and minus 4 in the back. Check. It really does go back to this, doesn't it? All right, so let me recap. That was not easy at all. So how did we do it? When we have a number in the front, they're much harder. First, you got to check to see if they all have something in common. They did it. Then you write your 2 parentheses, but you got to make 3x squared in the front, not just x squared. So it's 3x and x, 3x and x, 3x and x. And that gives you options for the back. What's going to multiply to be 4? Well, 2 and 2, or 1 and 4, or 4 and 1. And that order matters now because the front is either, one of the parentheses has a 3x and the other just has a plain x. So the order matters. So you write them down in all the orders, and then you just check them. Just check them without any signs at first. No pluses or minuses at first, just because there's too much going on. Do the signs later. So then when I checked them, these middle two, they have to add to be the middle. Remember, we still got to add to be the middle. It's still multiply, add, multiply. You got to add to be the middle. Well, no way 6x and 2x can add them to be 1 in the middle. No way 12x and 1x can add to be 1x in the middle. These are actually 1x, aren't they? And there's no, but then we got over here, 3 and 4 can add to be 1x. How do they do it? Sign in the middle goes on the bigger, the plus goes on the 4. Sign in the middle is plus, goes on the bigger number. 4 is bigger than 3. The bigger number is 4. Plus 4 minus 3 is plus 1. That's right. Put it up here. Plus 4 minus 1. Check it. It's right. There we go.